Stop! You okay, brother? You'll be all right, dude. Okay, we got help coming now, okay?
A security guard at a Folsom business suffered major injuries after he was run over by a truck that had slammed into a bar.
Scottsdale Hospital is a crime scene after a patient there shoots a security guard. The patient
is being treated for critical injuries tonight after he was stabbed outside of a hospital. Andrea Merrill died this morning, days after she was attacked while working as a security guard.
Hey there, everybody, and welcome back to SlideLock Podcast. I'm your host, William Reichel, part of the security deep dive going beyond the basics in security. Last year was a hectic one across the security industry, and honestly, the whiplash was real. Incidents involving security officers dominated headlines and forced organizations to confront hard questions about oversight, training standards, arrest authority, and how prepared companies really are when things go wrong. Today, we're breaking down 4 major incidents that hit the internet and national news, not for shock value, but to understand the lessons behind them and what they mean for the future of the professional security officer. Let's get into the deep dive. This first video here covers a security guard that was shot while trying to remove a trespasser from a local shopping center. This video is brought to you by Mr. Crime. I'll drop a link down in the description below. Feel free to shoot some love over to his channel. Let's get started here, guys.
At least it was in the cafe.
Yeah.
Element by Weston Hotel, that new another building. I have Hispanic male, 25 to 30, 6 foot, blue bandana around his neck, and uncolored shirt with blue jeans, gray handgun.
Hey, police department, you good, man? You see anybody with a gun? Stand up for me, dude. I just need to make sure you don't have a gun. Can you stand up for me, please? Police department. Put your hands on your head. Stop! He's running. Running, going west, correction, eastbound. Moving out. You put something under the car.
Let's take a moment here to show some love and appreciation for the mad handcuffing skills by this police officer.
It's under there. It's under there.
He went to go kick
Looks like
somebody
we
out of
have
the mall.
a
The guy was getting
mid to
39
upper
with him,
leg
and then
shot. Looks like
next thing you know,
somebody's
he's
applying
on
a
shots
tourniquet.
fired. He's yelling shots fired. Do you guys?
Let me stop you right there. As security guards, security officers, I don't know why we're using 10 codes. If you're using 10 codes out there, y'all need to stop.
Cameras of the incident. We do have cameras. I don't know if we have anything on the incident. We haven't been able to look yet. Are you gonna go? Do you mind going to the security office real quick? Yeah. I can meet you down there.
They are talking to our witness outside.
And if you didn't notice it, let's start a tracker of how many times we see the segue. Drop your answer in the comments below.
Thank you, guys.
Can I get your signature? Yeah. We were just sitting at the table with my feet still on there. He was sitting on this table right in here, and he had his head down. And then we heard some commotion, and then my back to him was to him, but they almost got pushed into me, and they said you got to leave.
This is a little tip for those of us out there that have given statements to the police officers before. Before you start talking, take a deep breath. The adrenaline's pumping. You want to be able to speak clearly and not kind of ramble with like you've just ran a marathon, but marathons and these guys, probably a different story.
And so the security guy came in, and he was starting to almost fell into our team.
So he was in photo record, not
Yeah, he was right here. He was literally at that table right here. And so he was just laying there, but because they didn't want, I guess, homeless people or whatever in there. And I think the guy might have been kind of oscillating, so I don't know. And he was and he told him to get out. And then when he came out here, he started pushing him and forced him out because I guess
the guy with the bandana pushed.
No, the security guy.
Security guard.
Thank you.
Pushed him into the double doors.
And so
So hard that the doors almost like broke. Okay. Slammed them into the door. And then what happened after that?
I don't know if you're catching the statement here given by these two witnesses, but it sounds like there may have been a little bit of back and forth as far as word judo, but it may be appearing that the security guard was a little bit more hostile, a little bit more hands-on, and a little bit more touchy-feely than he probably should have been. And it's Allied, so Allied's policy is don't touch anybody.
Here, chasing him out here.
Well, the security guard also threw him on the ground. Okay. And the kid got up, and then the kid started walking around that way, and the security guard followed him. Okay. And they were like this.
Just yelling.
Well, yeah, I mean, he was pushing him around. Okay. And he was walking around. Once he got around to the sign, I saw the security guard come through the bush. He came running through the bush. And
so a little note here is, why is the security guard continuing to pursue an assault? Basically, now you're assaulting the gentleman that was trespassing all the way off the premises. If the guy's leaving, let him leave. Don't keep trying to get hands-on. You're not detaining him. Why are you going to detain somebody that you're trying to remove for trespassing? Doesn't make any sense.
That's when the shots.
You heard gunshots?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, and I'm sitting there watching the whole thing. I said, "Oh, what's happening?" He's running.
Okay.
And then the kid pulled out the gun.
I really appreciate it, guys.
I didn't see
one that went into the wall and is down on the ground, one in the middle of the double pane.
As a witness, you hear a bunch.
Yeah, and then one that went through the glass.
You say, "Oh, I heard 4. If there's only 3, close enough." It's not like they're like.
And the one that's fragmented on the ground and hit the wall is probably the same height as where it went through on his leg, because it went through and through.
So what was going
On a side note, this is actually a pretty fancy setup.
Dude, like getting him up, he kind of pushes him. Dude, like just reaches down like this, grabs a gun. Security guard bolts through the. Pretty good. You can't see it here, but he bolts through the bushes. Dude just punches out, fires rounds.
Some things we should probably cover. The tourniquet, I didn't see the actual application of it, so we'll say thumbs up for whoever put the tourniquet on there. There was a pretty decent sized pool of blood. I don't know if you saw that, but that definitely probably helped either, save a life, limb, and consciousness for sure. The statements were pretty clear, and from the few different people that were given statements, the pretty consistent story is that the security officer probably went outside of his use of force and probably shouldn't have put his hands on the guy. If the guy's leaving, let him leave. At the end, you see the cops kind of reiterating the same story. So this kind of falls back on knowing your arrest authority, knowing your use of force continuum, and knowing your SOPs, policies, and your handbook. As far as pretty much everything the security officer did, from hindsight's 2020 armchair quarterbacking it, he probably exceeded his scope of authority on the way he handled this particular situation. But I'm glad nobody died. I'm glad that the gentleman that shot the guy was arrested. So it really falls back on training. Know your SOPs, know your arrest authorities, know your legal doctrine that governs your profession. All right, let's get into this next video here. This one is brought to you by Scottsdale 12 News. This one takes place at Honor Health in Scottsdale. The suspect was a 30-year-old male named Maximilian Yanofsky. He was exhibiting erratic behavior, including hallucinations and hearing voices. So it looks like he possibly was having a definite break from reality and possibly a schizophrenic skit. After demanding release and barricading himself in the ER bathroom, he fired upon security as they attempted to breach the door and extract him from the restroom. One of the security officers was shot in the upper body, and another one suffered minor hand and wrist injuries after the altercation. Let's watch the video.
And we begin with breaking news. A Scottsdale hospital is a crime scene after a patient there shoots a security guard. The patient was arrested. The security guard is now being treated at a different hospital. Thank you for being here for Sunday night, 12 News at 5:30. I'm Troy Hayden.
That's right, Troy. Scottsdale police are telling us this was an isolated incident. The suspect is a man who was brought to the emergency room this afternoon by a family member, and he started being resistant to being seen by doctors. A security guard stepped in to try and help the situation, but that's when the suspect allegedly shot that security guard. Now, Scottsdale police say officers were already on the way for a disturbance call involving the same people when it turned into a shooting. Security guards and other hospital employees held the suspect down until police arrested him. A small handgun believed to be belonging to that patient was found nearby. Police say they knew this was an isolated incident and not an active shooter, but a patient says that was not initially clear to them. That woman tells me she heard a lot of commotion and yelling, followed by that single gunshot. She barricaded herself and about 10 other patients in a room.
Yeah, and Gabby, when you think about it, generally these emergency rooms can be very crowded places, and to have a gun going off right there in the emergency room, it seems like we're very fortunate nobody else was hurt.
So we have a little bit of fear-mongering there, but, it is a shooting inside of a hospital, and I'm not quite sure how the police knew that it was an isolated incident before the people that were actually involved in the incident knew it was an isolated incident, but it does appear that the security officers both survived their wounds. The good thing was the suspect was apprehended, of course, and he was booked at the Maricopa County Jail on charges including aggravated assault, including serious physical injury and aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. The Scottsdale police deemed this as a isolated event. So a little bit on this one, I was trying to find a little bit more details as far as the actions of the security officers and the response of the police, but I was unable to do so. Bottom line on this one is that you can't get complacent at anywhere you work, regardless of if it's a bar, a movie theater, a shopping center, a hospital, a bank. You can't get complacent. I know the routine can get monotonous, but you have to do whatever you can to break that monotony and don't get complacent. The other thing is don't rely on the company to train you properly or efficiently. You have to take it upon yourself to seek out additional training. The training you get when you get your license is the bar, and the bar is set extremely low, and you cannot rely on those skills that you gain in that training to carry you into your profession. You have to seek out additional hand-to-hand, additional firearms, additional de-escalation. You have to take these classes, and you have to take them seriously. You have to better yourself, and you have to take the responsibility to seek out the training and not rely on the company that you work for. Let's get into the next video.
A security guard at a Folsom business suffered major injuries after he was run over by a truck that had slammed into a bar. This happened around 12:30 this morning at a bar on Sutter Street. Police say the driver of the truck had tried to get into that bar, but he was denied entrance. Then moments later, witnesses say the man got into his truck and backed it into the business. Police say as that man tried to drive away, security guards chased after him, and officers say that the driver then hit one of the guards, backed up, and ran over him. The driver is identified as 40-year-old Zachary Pavin of Citrus Heights. He now faces charges of attempted murder, assault with a deadly weapon, and felony hit and run.
On this one here, the security guard chasing the car as it's getting away. Why? Why are we chasing a car? If anything, you're at that point, you're observing and you're getting description of the vehicle, license plate, description of the person that was inside of it. You're not running after a moving vehicle. There's absolutely no reason for that. That doesn't make any sense. There's times when we're chasing after people. There's times when we're not chasing after people. At a point where a person has got to their vehicle and is driving away, do not continue to run after them and antagonize them, because this kind of stuff happens. This is a perfect example of FAFO. If you're a security officer trying to be super officer, there's no reason to chase after the guy. If you weren't able to subdue him and detain him before he was able to make it to his car, chalk it up as a loss and get the description of the subject and the vehicle, and then relay that to the police. Your job's done at that point. Unless he's committed a felony or some other egregious act of severe bodily injury or potential death, there's no reason for you to chase after a moving vehicle. That's just dumb. Anyway, on that one, FAFO. Let's move on to the next video.
Our security guard is being treated for critical injuries tonight after he was stabbed outside of a hospital. WBZ's Logan Hall's live for us in Boston tonight, where that suspect just appeared in court. Logan.
Yeah, David, that's right. Good evening. Prosecutors say 37-year-old Brandon Bannister was leaving Boston Medical Center here, where he was accused of stealing items that didn't belong to him. That's when this altercation began, and that's when the situation got out of control. Prosecutors describing a violent scene outside of Boston Medical Center, where they say 37-year-old Brandon Bannister stabbed a security guard.
While public safety officers were attempting to gain control of Bannister, the victim realized that he was stabbed to his right leg and began hopping on one leg towards the entrance and proceeded to escort himself to trauma 3.
Another security guard was slashed in his protective vest. Bannister was charged with 2 counts of assault with a deadly weapon, as well as trafficking more than 18 grams of cocaine.
So this is kind of a good opportunity to go over gear. I know a lot of companies don't issue you body armor. If that's something that's in your budget, I would definitely recommend it. There's a lot of places that do body armor, whether it's Safelite or another company like that. I would definitely look into saving up the money and buying your own set of armor. That's not steel plates or anything like that. That's level 2, level 3 / resistant body armor. If you can't afford it, it's kind of one of those hazards of the job, and that's when you would focus more of your training on hand-to-hand disarmament. But you have to know your capabilities, whether that's your firearms, your gear, or your skill sets.
Of his child when the altercation occurred.
Person.
Defense attorneys for Bannister say he was at the hospital for the birth of his child when the altercation occurred.
He was in the hospital room with the mother of his child as she was in labor. She asked him to leave the room, and he did with his items. As he was leaving the room, he was stopped by hospital security. They accused him of taking things that weren't his. Those items.
Defense attorney is almost on the brink of tears here. This is an act, and this is a perfect example of the defendant, playing the victim card. You have to remember that one of your authorities as a security officer is to stop and temporarily detain somebody to search them for items that you believe may belong to the client. You have that authority. And so if the nursing staff or doctors were reasonably able to articulate that they believed he had items that were not his, you are within your legal right to, using the use of force continuum, detain that subject and determine whether those property items are his or the hospital's. And it sounds like in this particular case, he didn't like the fact that he was being searched, which obviously turns out here in a second why he did not want the security officers to search him.
And then the altercation ensued from there.
Healthcare unions say this is part of a troubling trend in the area. Executive Vice President of 1199 SEIU United Healthcare Workers East said in a statement, quote, "We need our healthcare institutions and our state leaders alike to do more to protect the frontline workers who keep our health."
If you're going to carry drugs on you, don't do anything stupid that would involve either the police or security searching you, because they may find it. And then an altercation will ensue, and then somebody gets stabbed, and then you go to jail. This is a perfect example of criminals being criminals. Apparently there was an altercation here between the male and the female. The female asked the guy to leave. He did so. Nursing staff believed he may have taken something. Security is within their right to search him. Obviously, he had a crap ton of drugs on him, so he didn't want security to search him. But in doing so, he fought the security, stabbed security. Well, he got arrested and lost. Well, this next video takes place in Minnesota, where a security officer on duty at a local hospital tragically lost her life due to being assaulted by a person that had severe mental health issues. Let's go ahead and play the clip.
New details tonight as a North Metro community grieves the aftermath of a holiday tragedy. Andrea Merrill died this morning, days after she was attacked while working as a security guard at a local hospital. The suspect, a hospital patient, is in jail tonight.
In a Facebook post, the White Bear Lake Police Department noted that Merrill was a reserve officer for the agency and a former member of the local fire department. Velasquez also says she once worked as a corrections officer, remembering her for her dedication to her community. In Wyoming, with photojournalist Bradley Horwath, Connor White, WCCO News.
So far, police have not filed charges against the 35-year-old male patient involved in this case.
Well, that wraps up the year in review for the top 4 security incidents. Just remember, you didn't fail. You were understaffed, under-equipped, and under-trained. If anything, security companies out there are only looking to minimize liability. So if you learned anything from this video, please like, follow, share. Please comment down below, and look forward to our next video. And we'll see you guys soon. Thank you for tuning in to SlideLock Podcast. Y'all have a great night.